Besides Liverpool and Everton, the Premier League has made a perfect start to the European campaign, winning 10 out of an available 14. Such excellence in the opening exchanges of the campaign is reminiscent to the glory days of 2004-09. Just don't call it a comeback. LL Cool J said it best, but the Premier League Justice Warriors will have you believe that England's foremost league never left its perch as the best league in the world, and that the intercompetitiveness was its unique selling point. Beep 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 beep, my bullcrap beaters going crazy. I always said that the air quote competitiveness was down to the massive decrease in quality among the top 6, which in turn closed the gap between the mid-table clubs. This reached a peak when Leicester frickin' City of all teams won the Premier League. But even beyond that, Newcastle United, West Ham United, Everton and Southampton all nearly qualified for the Champions League in recent years, teams who on paper had no business being in Europe's highest competition. Therefore, it was no surprise that the likes of Liverpool, twice, Chelsea, Man United, Man City and Tottenham had all been knocked out of the group stages, whilst Arsenal were always knocked out of the last 16 during this period. So it's no coincidence that as the elite in the Premier League are now thrashing the lesser clubs, this is also mirroring their performances in club football's biggest events, the Champions League. Chelsea began its renaissance last year as they stormed to title number 6 with the second ever highest points total with 93 points. And whilst you wouldn't put the class 2016 on par with the class 2005 for a variety of reasons, most specifically not being in Europe, the template for a good team had already been set. Antonio Conte has since added to that, and the results? Well, they're there for all to see. Versus Atletico Madrid, for example, they absolutely dominated a side who had reached 2 Champions League finals, were semi-finalists last year, and had also won the Europa League in recent memory, and that speaks volumes for the amount of improvement taking place at Stamford Bridge. Such a victory validates the good start the Blues have made in the league. As far as the Champions League goes, Chelsea are making light work of a difficult group. They've literally done 50% of the work in just 2 games. They've now got Roma back to back, and whilst they won't be easy, you can see Chelsea getting a victory in one of those matches, leaving an almost guaranteed win versus Qarabag to secure their passage into the next round. If Chelsea have set the bar, the 2 Manchester clubs have certainly matched it, if not raised it, whilst Liverpool have crash landed. The trio of clubs finished within close proximity of each other last season, but while City and United have ploughed ahead, wasting no time in fixing their problems, Liverpool were forced to wait for Naby Keita until 2018, took an unnecessary risk with Oxlade-Chamberlain, still have no top-class striker or goalkeeper, and the less said about Virgil van Dijk, the better. Unfortunately for the Reds, this has meant that the same weaknesses, namely a wretched defence, a midfield that doesn't specialise in defending or creating, and a wasteful attack still exists. And as Liverpool continue to keep dropping points against teams they should be beating, it frustratingly seems the only person surprised by this is Jurgen Klopp. Man City, on the other hand, had a very similar issue to Liverpool, but unlike Klopp, Guardiola didn't neglect his problems. He knew City's defence was below par, so he sold 5 aging defenders and replaced them with 4 of the very best in the world. It was expensive, but hey, you get what you buy. The result is now City now have a solid base to build their expensive football upon, and it's allowed Pep Guardiola to play a very unique formation which crams in all of his attacking talents. City scoring 4 past Feyenoord, 5 past Liverpool and Crystal Palace, and 6 past Watford is simply scintillating, whilst the likes of Sergio Aguero, Gabriel Jesus, Raheem Sterling and Leroy Sané leading the goal scoring charts is simply scary and puts fear into all of Europe. As for United, they now arguably boast the most balanced team in all of Europe. How did this happen? After all, this is the same team that finished 6th last campaign. Well, I'll tell you how. Jose Mourinho's team were already defensively strong, and adding Nemanja Matic to the fold to make them even more rugged. His inclusion has given Paul Pogba more freedom to play, and the Frenchman's form is beginning to resemble his Juventus days. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has also been replaced by Romelu Lukaku, and whilst you might be hard pressed to say that the Belgian is better than the Swede, Big Rom does suit United's game plan more. He's an itch defenders cannot get rid of. He loves to play on the shoulder, and then uses physical abilities to abuse defenders. His constant presence up top ensures someone is always ready to have a strike on goal. Lukaku has had a positive effect on Mkhitaryan and Martial, who have both struck a positive relationship with the United number 9. Adding Marcus Rashford's continued progression, It is very easy to see why those nauseating 0-0 draws have now turned into thumping 4-0 victories. Moving down to North London, I've even got some love for Tottenham. Defeating Borussia Dortmund at the supposedly cursed Wembley is a monumental stride in progression for a team quite used to not winning big match contests and were indeed pasted by Dortmund in 2016. Let's not forget that they are still a young team, still learning their trade under the guise of a young manager. They've got a lot to work on still to reach the pinnacle of the Premier League, yet alone Europe, but as of right now, they have shown that they can mix it with the best. Real Madrid cannot afford to take them lightly, and let's not forget, towards the back end of last season, Spurs were thrashing teams for fun and were unlucky a slow start forced them to settle for second behind Chelsea. Like I said, there's a clear parallel between performing well in your domestic league and then doing well in Europe. Bayern Munich under Ancelotti were made to work hard for the Bundesliga last season and were consequently knocked out the quarterfinals for the first time in a long time. That regression continued into this season as they lost to Hoffenheim 2-0 and then drew 2-2 with Wolfsburg, failing to win a game they were 2-0 up ahead for the first time since March 2004. Lo and behold, when they played the first big game of the season, PSG annihilated them 3-0 and Carlo Ancelotti paid with his job. Moving back to England, the Manchester clubs, Chelsea and to a lesser degree Tottenham all use the transfer market to their advantage and are reaping the benefits. Liverpool didn't and are barely any better and are struggling to qualify from the easiest group in the Champions League. Even if they do progress, you get the feeling that they'll be more at home in the Europa League where they reached the final in 2016, a feat Arsenal will be aiming to go one more better than. And in that regard they are off to a great start, winning twice, fielding a mixture of youngsters and first teamers. That level of depth shows that they are one of the stronger teams in the competition, considering that they are better than when current holders Man United won it, as well as when Liverpool reached the final a year beforehand. It says a lot about the improvement the Premier League is making. Previously, the Gunners would have been a shoo-in for the top 4 and consequently got their asses handed to as they got knocked out early in the Champions League. In prior seasons, teams like Southampton, West Ham and Hull had all failed to make it to the group stages, getting knocked out the qualifiers. Next season, when presumably Liverpool take up a Europa League spot, early knockouts in this competition should be a thing of the past. Until then, we have to suffer through Everton disgracing the Premier League. Which in many ways brings my argument full circle. Despite spending hundreds of millions, they've not spent it wisely. And the fact Everton, in many people's minds, represent the chase and pack leaders, it shows the chasm of difference between the top 4, then Liverpool and Arsenal, and then the rest. With that said, thank heavens the top 4 have improved, because at one point they were almost as bad as the rest. In wrapping up, do you agree with my thoughts? A few years ago, I'd have put the Premier League as the 4th best league in Europe, but since then, it's surged past the Bundesliga, who have seen Leverkusen, Schalke, Gladbach and Wolfsburg suffer quite severe drops in quality. Likewise Bayern Munich too to a lesser degree. I'd just about put the Premier League at a Serie A too, but don't sleep on the Italian league. I've already made a video about this in greater detail during the summer, so please check that out. Long story short, we all know Juve are an elite club, but AC Milan keep on making these grandiose statements in the transfer market, so they can't be ignored. Inter Milan are rapidly improving, Napoli possess one of the best attacks in world football, whilst Roma and Lazio are nothing to sniff at. Overall, I would still say that La Liga is the best league in the world though. Whilst the Premier League's top 4 looks to be in a position to threaten La Liga's top 4, Spain never embarrass themselves in Europe like Everton and co do. That's all for today. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel, and also click the notification bell so you get alerted the moment my next video is out. Comment with your thoughts, follow me on these social media platforms, and have a good evening or morning wherever you are in the world. I've been Scoop, and I'm scoping out.